This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Tensions over the Strait of Hormuz escalated sharply following statements from Mohsen Rizai, military advisor to Iran's supreme leader, rejecting Washington's presence near the strategic waterway. In a televised address, Rizai claimed Iranian forces had displaced U.S. military personnel across several regional staging grounds and warned that Tehran would aggressively target any American aircraft carriers or ground forces attempting to establish control over maritime corridors.
الان آتش بسی وجود نداره ولی حملات ما معنا داره مثلا کریدور دوم رو به هیچ وجه ما اجازه نمیدیم در تنگه هرمز کریدور دوم باز بشه حتی اگر ناو هم بیارن ناوشو میزنیم اگر نیروی نظامی هم بیارن میزنیم فعلا ما کشتی‌ها رو تهدید میکنیم که نرن خب خوشبختانه خیلی از کشتی‌ها تهدیدات ما رو گوش میکنن برمیگردن ما درگیر نمیشیم ولی بعضیا که معلومه کاملا آمریکایی‌ها بهشون فشار میارن اونا میان خب یه آسیبی بهشون وارد میشه خب خودشون برمیگردن
Rizai directly challenged claims by U.S. President Donald Trump regarding large-scale military operations, accusing Washington of harboring ambitions to seize Iranian energy reserves and dominate global shipping choke points. While acknowledging ongoing talks with Oman to negotiate a temporary commercial passage, Rizai maintained that Iran would retaliate against enforcement actions and dismissed American diplomatic assertions as fantasy.
من شنیدم دیروز ظاهراً آقای ترامپ گفته ما یک عملیات بزرگتر از جنگ جهانی دوم داشتیم این اشارهش به همین چیزی که من میگم بله شما تو رویا داشتید آقای ترامپ شما تو خواب و تو رویا داشتید ولی چرا عمل نشد
Conversely, U.S. President Donald Trump painted a starkly different picture of ongoing developments, asserting that Iranian representatives had initiated outreach to prevent further military escalation. Before departing Los Angeles, Trump expressed optimism that diplomatic negotiations to reopen the Strait of Hormuz were progressing smoothly and projected formal outcomes within 48 hours.
We're moving along very nicely. We'll find out. We'll know in 48 hours. A lot of progress has been made. And they called me and they said, please, let's talk. They want to talk. The funny thing is they never mention that. They always say, we're not talking. But they called. They wanted to talk. We've been talking. They want to make a deal. They do not want to be hit.
Despite contrasting statements from both capitals, international maritime monitors confirmed that talks via regional intermediaries like Oman remain active. However, with military forces maintaining high operational readiness throughout the Persian Gulf, global energy markets remain on edge as both sides weigh the prospects of a structured deal against continued confrontation. This has been Verhil Parba, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Armored vehicles and ground troops are pushing farther into the western Daraa countryside, maneuvering through strategic areas like Wadi al-Rakad. Newly released footage shows armed foot patrols moving through farming communities, stopping and questioning local farmers in their fields, and even young children herding goats along the rural boundary. The Israeli military has not officially commented on this specific operation, but ground forces have steadily expanded their presence across the UN buffer zone and southern Syria since the collapse of the 1974 disengagement agreement in December 2024.
World met in Amman on Wednesday to condemn Israeli policies targeting Al-Aqsa Mosque and the West Bank, warning that settlement expansion threatens regional peace. Verhil Parva has the news.
Foreign minister from Arab and Islamic countries gathered in Amman, Jordan on Wednesday for an emergency meeting of the Arab Ministerial Committee. Joined by representatives from Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey and Malaysia, the ministers condemned Israel's continued settlement expansion, land confiscation and legislative measures in occupied East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Opening the meeting, Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi warned that Israeli actions at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound pose an unprecedented threat to the site's historic and legal status quo.
وتستهدف السياسات الإسرائيلية الاستفزازية المسجد الأقصى المبارك الحرم القدسي الشريف باعتداءات ممنهجة غير مسبوقة تزداد كما ونوعا وغطرسة رعناء تحاول تقويض هويته الإسلامية وتغيير الوضع التاريخي والقانوني القائم في المسجد المبارك سبيلا لتحقيق السلام العادل وتدفع الضفة الغربية نحو الانفجار.
Palestinian Foreign Minister Varsan Agabakian and Pakistani Foreign Minister Mohammad Ishaq Dar highlighted the humanitarian impact of prolonged displacement and Israeli settlement activity. Agabakian said the crisis in East Jerusalem reflects a lack of international accountability, while Pakistani and Egyptian officials called on the international community to uphold international law and support the establishment of independent Palestinians state base on the 1967 borders.
إن المأساة في القدس ليست نتاج غياب القانون الدولي وإنما غياب المساءلة والعقاب لدولة تنتهك القانون الدولي وتستمر بذلك بسبب غياب أي ثمن تدفعه مقابل انتهاكاتها. قامت دولة الاحتلال ول7 عقود باتباع نفس السياسات الاستعمارية في القدس المحتلة: الضم، التوسع الاستيطاني، مصادرة الأراضي، هدم البيوت، التهجير القسري، الهندسة الديمغرافية، سحب حق الإقامة في القدس من المقدسيين، إغلاق المؤسسات الفلسطينية، تقويض إمكانات التطوير في القدس، واستهداف دور العبادة، والمضي قدما في تهويد المدينة وتغيير طابعها العربي الإسلامي والمسيحي.
Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud reaffirmed the kingdom's support for peaceful coexistence through the Global Alliance for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution. A joint communique issued after the meeting wherein participating ministers agreed to establish a permanent mechanism to document alleged violations and called for an emergency ministerial session on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September. This has been Verhil Parba, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Russia launched a devastating overnight missile barrage targeting Kyiv, resulting in at least 17 fatalities and dozens of injuries as Ukrainian air defense were unable to intercept any of the incoming cruise or ballistic missiles. Carol De La Peña reports.
Emergency crews in Kiev battled widespread fires overnight after Russian forces launched a massive aerial bombardment targeting transport, industrial, and logistics infrastructure across the Ukrainian capital. Ukrainian officials confirmed 17 fatalities and 44 injuries from blazes in commercial facilities and warehouses. The Ukrainian Air Force reported a 0% interception rate against 28 incoming ballistic and cruise missiles, highlighting a severe shortage of US-made Patriot interceptors. Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed precision weapons successfully targeted military logistic hubs, weapon storage centers, and 3 cargo vessels carrying Western arms near Odessa. Moscow denied targeting civilian infrastructure, stating the barrage followed recent Ukrainian drone strikes inside Russia. However, with interceptor stockpiles depleted, President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Allied supply delays will lead to further catastrophic loss of life. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña, SMNI News.
Russia has decided to extend its ban on petrol exports until the end of January 2027 and renewed diesel export restrictions as authorities move to stabilize domestic fuel supplies following recent refinery disruptions. Carlo De La Peña tells us more.
Moscow is keeping its fuel locked inside the country. Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak announced following a government headquarters meeting in Moscow that the federal government has extended its sweeping ban on petrol exports through January 31, 2027. Diesel exports are also restricted through the end of August. Kremlin officials say the goal is simple. That is to keep local pumps filled, rein in surging consumer prices, and guarantee diesel of farmers in the middle of the autumn harvest.
Правительством принято решение о продлении запрета на экспорт бензина до конца января 2027 года. Также правительством продлен запрет экспорта дизеля на август месяц. И это сделано для того, чтобы в первую очередь обеспечить внутренний рынок нефтепродуктами
The heightened restrictions come after a series of drone strikes on domestic oil refineries caused regional supply bottlenecks and driven up retail fuel prices across dozens of Russian regions. While major oil companies have postponed scheduled refinery maintenance to maximize output, independent fuel stations in several regions continue to face supply constraints, forcing federal authorities to implement manual distribution controls to replenish retail inventories.
Особое внимание сегодня уделяли также вопросам обеспечения регионов, у которых большое количество независимых заправок. Там сохраняются еще проблемы. Часть заправок либо закрыта, либо работает в ограниченном режиме. И в таком ручном штабном режиме договорились через региональных операторов вместе с нефтяными компаниями, что они будут постепенно насыщать в том числе и независимые заправки. Что касается вертикально интегрированных компаний,
Government officials report that domestic fuel conditions have begun to stabilize, with weekly price growth slowing and major energy firms lifting procurement limits across 13 regions. Federal regulators stress that export bans will remain strictly enforced until fuel reserves are restored nationwide. Reporting for Newsline World is Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Taiwan has kicked off its 42nd annual Wan Kwang military exercises, launching 10 days of live-fire drills and civil defense simulations to test the island's readiness against potential Chinese blockade and invasion. Prince Tripoli reports.
10 days, 10 nights, full combat readiness. Taiwan's armed forces are taking to the field for the 42nd Hanquan military exercises. In Taipei and nearby defense sectors, active duty troops and reservists conducted heavy weapons training, urban combat exercises, and command drills designed to test combat readiness under realistic battlefield conditions. The scenario dared fighting a full-scale assault by Beijing. The drills simulate Chinese forces starting with gray zone tactics before launching a total sea and air blockade, missile strikes, and an amphibious landing. More than 5,000 reservists are joining the effort, practicing precision strikes, coastal defense, and keeping supply lines open under fire. It's not just the military. Civil defense drills running through August 14th will test air raid shelters and backup communications. Beijing has already brushed off the war games, maintaining that eventual unification is inevitable. But regional allies are watching closely as tension in the strait reaches a high boil. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, SMNA News.
The camp of Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa responded to reports claiming the senator has been arrested. MJ Mondejar reports.
The camp of Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa denied reports claiming he was arrested by authorities in connection with a pending ICC warrant. According to his legal counsel Israelito Torion, their legal team has received no phone call from the de la Rosa family regarding the matter. Attorney Torion suspects the rumors may be a ploy or bait to triangulate the senator's cellular signal.
Baka pakana ito na para magtawag ako or magtawag yung any member of the family of Senator Bato de la Rosa at matriangulate na. Naranasan na kasi natin ito in the past, no? Sa mga kaso po na na-handle natin. Kaya I really disciplined myself not to call my client at that time. Kasi there is really that big possibility that this might be a ploy for us to contact our client. And if we did that, then that would have, produced a certain vibration which would enable the authorities to locate him.
Senator de la Rosa was named in the arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court as he served as PNP chief and was the primary enforcer of the anti-drug campaign or Oplan Tokang during the Duterte government. Meanwhile, Senator Bato's party mates abroad expressed concern over his situation.
Labis po kami nag-aalala lahat ng mga OFW, lalong-lalo na ang PDP laban International Malaysia. Sa nangyayari ngayon kasi sir, hindi talaga pabor sa atin yung dadalhin na lang siyang ganon ating administrasyon sa dahig na hindi man lang idadaan sa tamang proseso dito sa Pilipinas.
The incumbent senator faces no pending arrest warrant in Philippine courts. The senator's camp maintains that the ICC warrant is illegal. According to them, the foreign tribunal has no jurisdiction over the Philippines. On March 17, 2019, the Philippines officially withdrew from the International Criminal Court after revoking its membership in the Rome Statute. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondeja, SMNA News.
Senator Judge Robin Padilla questioned whether former COA ICFAO State Auditor Roderick Wamil has sufficient knowledge and actual experience in areas with terrorism threats covered by confidential operations. This is in relation to the audit of confidential funds of the OVP and DepEd. Senator Judge Amy Marcos also had comments on the issue. Angel Pastor has the report.
In his last appearance on the witness stand, Senator Judge Robin Padilla questioned former COA State Auditor Roderick Wamil regarding the situation in areas covered by confidential operations. Padilla asked if Wamil has sufficient knowledge and actual experience in conflict-affected and remote areas.
Saan po kayo nakaikot na sa bansa natin? Nakaikot na po ba kayo ng Mindanao, sa Bicol?
Marami na po akong naikutan. Hindi ko na po maalala lahat, Your Honor.
Opo. Kayo po ba yung nakarating na sa BARM?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Nakaikot na po kayo sa mga bundok?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Nakita niyo na po ba ang pangangailangan ng mga tao sa malayong lugar? Katulad ng gamot, katulad po ng pagkain.
Wala naman po akong na-observe, Your Honor.
Ayun, wala. Hindi po kayo exposed.
Padilla also probed whether Wamil personally saw the needs of residents in remote areas, including their need for medicine. He also asked if Wamil has been exposed to the threat of terrorism in the country. Wamil replied that his knowledge is based only on news reports. Padilla also asked if the Audit Observation Memorandum or AOM can be considered a final audit of the funds. Wamil clarified that this is not yet a final decision of COA. He said this is still just part of the audit process. In Padilla's interjection, he maintained that an AOM should not immediately be viewed as having irregularities because these are only preliminary findings.
Kahapon kasi narinig ko parang yung ginawa nyo preliminary lang.
Yung AOM po, preliminary lang.
Opo, hindi po yun konklusyon.
Kung ang tinutukoy niyo po ay yung... Meron po kasing provision as to the joint circular as to tinatawag na prima facie.
Pakisagot na lang po kung conclusion ba po yun? Final? Final?
Hindi po kasi we require
So hindi
them.
po final.
Based
Boss,
on the AOM
konti lang po oras ko, hindi po final.
Sa AOM po, yung AOM po hindi po final.
Hindi po final.
Padilla also asked if the identity of confidential agents should be exposed to the public. Wamil responded that there is no provision in COA's joint memorandum circular stating that their identity should be exposed. Padilla also asked for the definition or meaning of the word confidential.
Sa personal po ninyong pagkakaintindi, ang mga confidential agent dapat po bang magpakilala?
Since that calls for an opinion, hindi po ako authorized to express that, Your Honor.
Bilang kayo po ay abogado, ano po ang pagkakaintindi nyo sa confidential?
I'm classified po, Your Honor.
Padilla then linked the dates of the OVP checks from 2022 to 2023 to the anniversaries of the CPP, NPA, NDF. According to the senator, no attacks were recorded on those dates while VP Sara Duterte was vice president.
Ang 50th po, golden anniversary ng NDF, National Democratic Front, ay April 24. Kaya ko po nabanggit lahat to. Ito pong mga dates na to, nung December 26, March 29, April 24, lahat po ito, walang nangyaring attack. Lahat po foiled. Wala po. For the first time, wala pong nangyaring attack. Kasi tuwing founding anniversary, may attack.
Meanwhile, Senator Judge Amy Marcos questioned Wamil regarding the results of the audit on the confidential funds of the OVP and DepEd. Marcos maintained that COA made no direct statement saying that the confidential funds were stolen or fictitious. She said there's also no such statement in the Notice of Disallowance, Notice of Suspension, Audit Observation Memorandum, and other submitted documents.
Doon sa mga AR ng OVP, meron bang sinabi na gawa-gawa lang, hindi tunay, peke?
Dahil hindi po yan yung focus ng audit namin, wala po kaming basis para magkaroon ng findings po doon sa mga sinasabi niyo.
So ang sagot, no. Walang sinasabi na fictitious yung AR.
Marcos pushed back against what she described as Wamil's disrespectful and seemingly non-direct answers to her questions. Marcos also questioned why Vice President Sara Duterte is considered the accountable officer for the cash advances of the OVP and DepEd.
Responsive po, ang tinatanong ko lang, hindi ba yung designated, yung SDO, si Fajarda lang at si Acosta, hindi si VP, hindi siya yung PE eh. Ang liwa-liwanag.
Pero ang sinabi niyo po kanina yung accountable officer.
Kaya nga, so yung accountable officer, yung SDO, nasa JC.
Hindi lang po si SDO po yung accountable officer, Your Honor.
Ang sabi doon, head of agency or person designated. Oo, ang liwanag sa definition ng joint circular. Mag-yes or no ka lang, kanina ka pa inaaway mo ko lagi.
Meanwhile, Presiding Officer Francis Cheese Escudero reprimanded Wamil regarding the observed wrong computation and figures in COA's December 13 notice of suspension. This comes after noticing that the total amount stated in the document was incorrect. Wamil admitted that the recording of several numbers in the document was a typo error.
I totaled it and your total is wrong. Kindly total the figures that you wrote there.
Yes, sir. It was a typo error po. 69,787,000 pesos.
Yung subsequent issuances, binabanggit po 69 million na, pero yung detalye, hindi na po 10.5 million, 10 million na. Ano ba talaga?
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
A retired uniformed officer gave their assessment regarding the House Prosecution Panel's plan to subpoena Mary Grace Piatos. MJ Modehar is back for Bureau News.
Na-assign po ako sa PNP Intelligence Group way back to, I think it was 2003. And nag-handle po ako ng isang intelligence team at saka counterintelligence operations.
For retired Police Colonel Jonathan Gala, the plan by the House Prosecution Panel to subpoena Mary Grace Piatos poses a threat to national security. This is one of the names that appeared in confidential funds documents being pushed for summon in the ongoing impeachment trial against Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte.
Nakakatawa no na alam mo yung bang pagsubpina sa isang alam mo na pseudonym or alias lamang. Yung paggamit ng isang alias is ano yan, kung baga sabi natin industry practice yan sa intelligence.
According to retired Colonel Galang, the plan to summon Piatos may cause fear among current government intelligence assets.
Kung ako isang informant or ako isang operative, ay bakit pa ako mag-i-expose ko yung sarili ko kung ang kapalit naman yung buhay ko.
Detailed in COA Audit Circular Number 92-385, issued on October 1, 1992, are the rules on the use of confidential funds. According to the circular, intelligence and confidential operations are inherently sensitive and confidential, so its details cannot be exposed in order not to endanger the mission. It is also stated that requiring receipts for certain expenses may expose sensitive information and compromise agents and operations. The circular added that in many instances, it is impractical or impossible to obtain receipts while conducting intelligence operations. Because of this, a more flexible process is allowed in the use of intelligence and confidential funds. The said circular was presented by VP Sara's defense team in the impeachment trial regarding the issue of the liquidation of OVP confidential funds. Meanwhile, for Colonel Galang, the government is being put at risk because of what is being done in its Senate impeachment court.
We're exposing the vulnerability and weakness ng ating proseso kung ilalabas natin sila. So ito pwedeng gamitin, i-take advantage at i-exploit ng mga kalaban ng bayan. So very risky yung gagawin nila na ganyan.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo insisted that Article 1 of the Articles of Impeachment loses its legal basis. Attorney Panelo believes the findings of the Commission on Audit or COA are not yet final. Hannah Sancho reports.
After the hearing was adjourned, former Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo said that the prosecution's own witnesses admitted that the audit findings are merely preliminary and recommendatory, which is why he said these cannot yet be used as a basis of liability against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Both witnesses have already admitted na preliminary lang yung findings ng audit, recommendatory. Which means, pag yan ang inamin mo, lahat na ipipresent mo dyan to prove the so-called irregularity, wala, napatay na. Kasi, in other words, you have no basis to sue the Vice President because hindi pa nga final whether, kasi supposedly dapat, ididemanda mo isang tao kung meron ng final decision na irregular yung ginawa mo. Kaya you have to be accountable and you have to be prosecuted. Inamin na nga nilang wala eh. So lahat ng mga tanong, lahat ng mga testigo ipipresenta nila, useless na lahat. They're wasting our time.
Panelo also stressed that there is no explicit prohibition against the use of aliases in the liquidation of confidential funds. He said this is part of protecting the identities of informants and operations related to national security.
Using your common sense, talagang pag sinabing confidential, since all of them are admitting na hindi dapat ipaalam kasi nang manganganib ang buhay ng mga informant, talagang aliases ang gagamitin mo. Kaya hindi ko nga maintindihan, lalo ako naniniwala na you're just focusing, targeting the Vice President. You're really destroying her by proceeding with this impeachment that has no legal and constitutional basis.
Panelo further stated that confidential funds should not be treated like ordinary government expenses because there is information that cannot be made public so as not to jeopardize intelligence operations.
Hindi mo po pwedeng ilabas lang lahat ng mga yan kasi it involves national security. Yan ang hindi ho maintindihan ng mga prosecution at ng mga ibang senador. Although, siguro naman naiintindihan na kaya lang nga, bawang target si BP Sara kaya panay kampanya nila.
Regarding the testimony of the former COA state auditor about the alleged prima facie presumption in the use of confidential funds, Panelo said this is not yet enough to prove that the Vice President is liable because the audit process and appeals remain open.
Pag pumasok kasi yung notice of suspension mo, sinira mo na yung presumption. Madalit sabi, magkakaroon lang ng yung presumption mo, magiging conclusive lang yon. Kung nakapasok ka dito sa tatlo at naka-appeal ka na at may desisyon na, kasi ang dami pang appeal eh. From notice of this, anong tawag doon? Notice of disallowance. Bisisingilin ka na, bayaran mo na yan. Pupunta ka pa sa commissioner eh. Pag-uusapan pa nila, pag na-deny yung appeal mo, pataka pa sa Korte Suprema. Madali sabi, hindi nga final eh. Yun nga matagal na natin sinasabi. So walang basis talaga.
Panelo also maintained he sees no conflict of interest in Attorney Michael Poa continuing to serve as one of the defense lawyers.
There is absolutely no conflict of interest with Attorney Poa as former Chief of Staff and now as one of the lawyers. Wala namang conflict doon. Ano namang conflict doon?
In the end, Panelo reiterated that as long as the COA audit findings are not final, allegations of irregularity under Article 1 of the impeachment complaint cannot be proven.
So pag sinabing hindi final ang findings mo, ibig sabihin dapat di ka nagdemanda.
Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo's interview took place at the Senate shortly after the adjournment of Day 13 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial.
If you want a circus, this is the place to watch the proceeding.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SM9 News.
Amid the Marcos administration's push for the Philippine space program, an economist stressed that this should not be the government's top priority. This report.
son of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., an economist, said that launching rockets and developing a space program should not be prioritized. He said it is more important to address slow investment inflows and strengthen the economy. According to Professor Astro Del Castillo, an economist and UP professor, technology is important, but it is not the country's immediate need. He explained that a solid economic foundation must first be secured before entering into massive space projects. He added that a stronger influx of investments is also needed.
Very important rin talaga na magkaroon tayo ng sariling sistema. Hindi tayo nakarely lang sa Amerika, sa Europa, no? Natawa yung iba eh. Bakit no? Ako naiintindihan ko eh. You have to start somewhere, no? But again, yun lang. Hindi natin priority for now space technology, no?
In the 2026 SONA, President Marcos announced the strengthening of the Philippine space program as part of science and innovation. But for Del Castillo, accelerating economic growth and attracting local and foreign investors are more immediate challenges. He said the remaining 2 years of the administration are insufficient for ambitious space program targets. Therefore, if it continues, the decision will rest with the next president.
Dapat kasi may continuity eh. Oo. Hindi naman matatapos after 2 years lang eh. Dapat lang ituloy rin ng susunod na presidente. Dapat kasama ito sa kanyang pananaw sa progreso ng isang ekonomiya. Lalo na tayo ay isang developing economy.
Del Castillo previously stated that political infighting affects investments inflows. He said investor confidence declines even when the president conducts investments missions abroad. According to data, only 19% materialized into actual investments out of $72 billion in pledges.
Ang laki, $72 billion. That's how much, no? In pesos. So, sayang. Sana marinig rin natin na yung mga ibang malalaking pangalan na ginagamit natin sa pang-araw-araw. Si iPhone, si Samsung, si yung sa damit, sa sapatos, no? Sana dito sila nagmamanufacture. Si Nike, si Adidas, wala tayong naririnig. So we really need to fix our house, no? Kaya nga lagi natin sinasabi, ekonomiya, hindi politika.
In the end, the economist said science and technology projects would be more beneficial if the economy is fixed first. The state-owned Syrian petroleum company has launched a major rehabilitation initiative at the Arab oil fields in Hasakah Governorate in partnership with U.S.-based HKN Energy, aiming to modernization operations and gradually restore production to 200,000 barrels per day. Daniela Paulite tells us more.
The state-owned Syrian petroleum company has signed a landmark 25-year agreement with Dallas-based HKN Energy to rehabilitate the Ramalan oil fields in northeastern Syria's Hasakah Governorate. Following inspections of key oil facilities and the Suwaidia gas plant, both sides announced a paced modernization program aimed at restoring damaged infrastructure, introducing advanced extraction technology, and eventually raising production to its pre-war level of about 200,000 barrels per day.
موجودين هون بالحقل هذا مع شركائنا اللي اخترناهم بعد مفاوضات دقيقة لتأهيل الحقل هذا وزيادة إنتاجه التي تنعكس بدورها على شعبنا الكريم موجود بالمنطقة وبالجمهورية بشكل عام. طبعا العقد بيننا وبين بين شركة HKN عقد كثير جيد للحكومة السورية. العقد هو لمدة 25 سنة. طبعا راح يضخوا مبالغ ضخمه بهالمنطقه هاي لاعاده تاهيل الابار وحفر ابار جديده.
Under the revenue sharing agreement, the Syrian government will receive 60% of revenues during the first 5 years, rising to 65% in the second phase and 70% for the remainder of the contract. The project also includes environmental measures, such as ending the discharge of contaminated water and restoring industrial water injection systems.
We're very excited to finally be in Syria. Very excited about the opportunity in front of us. This is one of Syria's most important oil fields, and we're very honored to be a part of it. It's our goal to build a great Syrian energy company and to create a lot of great jobs for the people of Syria. Absolutely, we have to have the local workers. That's going to be a very critical part of our success.
Home to more than 1,300 oil wells, the Ramalan complex was once responsible for nearly half of Syria's crude oil production. Officials say the rehabilitation program will prioritize local hiring, improve worker benefits, and support community development as operations expand across Hasaka. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulita, SMNI News.
A regional football match in southern Thailand turned fatal on Tuesday evening, August 4, 2026, when a sudden lightning bolt struck the pitch, killing a 24-year-old professional player and injuring 12 others. Stella Maris has the story.
Fans were just cheering for their teams when tragedy struck at approximately 5:30 p.m. local time at Santiphap Stadium in the municipality of Narathiwat province in Thailand when the tragic incident occurred at the Santiphap Stadium. Heavy rain had begun falling during a regional Golok FA Cup fixture between Team Samkots and Abu X Nong Sirin, but play continued into injury time. According to local police, a bright flash of lightning struck directly onto the playing surface, instantly collapsing multiple players. Teammates rushed to the aid of 24-year-old winger Sofwan Away, administering emergency CPR on the field before he was rushed to the hospital. Despite medical efforts, Sofwan succumbed to his severe injuries. Sofwan, a rising talent who previously played for Patani FC, had officially signed with the Thai third-tier professional club Yala FC just days before the accident. A total of 12 other individuals were injured in the strike and required hospital treatment. Among the injured was 22-year-old Malaysian player Muhammad Alif Izahan bin Zulkifli.
Out artist Audrey Luna, the singing voice of Mira in the hit animated film K-pop Demon Hunters, reaches a major career milestone after signing with Republic Records. Here's Faith Agustin for the show buzz.
Could Spider-Man 5 be on the horizon? Marvel Studios chief Kevin Feige shared that while future concepts are constantly in the works, Tom Holland's immediate focus is taking a well-deserved break following a massive global press tour. Speaking with Variety, Feige emphasized that Holland and his co-star and wife Zendaya have earned time off to celebrate the blockbuster's staggering success. For his part, Holland remains eager to stick around. At the film's Los Angeles premiere, the actor told The Hollywood Reporter that he wants to play the web slinger for as long as possible. Spider-Man Brand New Day has certainly done good, crossing the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office just 6 days after hitting theaters. Set more than 4 years after Spider-Man No Way Home, the narrative sees Peter Parker dealing with the aftermath of Doctor Strange's memory-wiping spell. Living in anonymity while keeping New York City safe from criminals like Scorpion and Tombstone, Peter soon finds himself up against a dangerous body-hopping new adversary, and the emerging threat endangers his former inner circle, including MJ and Ned, which signals a pivotal shift for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Meanwhile, fresh off her breakout performance in K-pop Demon Hunters, Korean-American singer-songwriter Audrey Nuna has officially signed with Republic Records. The major record deal arrives alongside her brand new single Superhuman, dropping August 7th and produced by Grammy nominee Circuit. Speaking to Variety about entering this new chapter, Nuna expressed her enthusiasm for the partnership. Reflecting on the creation of Superhuman, the singer-songwriter described the song as a personal portal, written during a period of rapid life transitions and heightened global tension. Beyond her record deal, Nuna has joined forces with Riot Games to make Superhuman the official anthem for the 2026 Valorant Champions Tour, or VCT Pacific Stage 2. The new music comes amidst a busy live circuit for Nuna this year. Fans can catch her bringing her signature genre-bending sound to major global festival stages, including Summer Sonic in Japan, Frequency Festival in Austria, and Puckle Pop in Belgium. This has been Faye Agustin, your Global Citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest show buzz.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Guard your mind, soul, and heart, that they will remain upright in the sight of God. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Paul Montemon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.